Hello and welcome everybody to the How to PodJam Valdivian Retrospective. We're really excited to be here.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and first things first, I think we should go through a couple of introductions. Like, who is on your screen right now? Who's chatting to you? And well, I'll start. So, my name is Cole. I'm the co creator of Valdivian's Finest, which was a podcast which was produced during the PodJam in 2024, which is something that is currently ongoing in 2025 for year two, but we'll get into that later. And with me, I have Nat.
Hello, I was one of the voice actors for Valdivian's Finest. Lucky to be on the team with such amazing people.
Aw. And then next we have Keelan.
Hi, I was also a voice actor on Valdivian's Finest. The sentiment is very much mutual.
Aw. And then finally we have James.
Greetings, humanoids. I'm James, and I also do stuff.
You do a lot more than just stuff. For context, James is the other half of Valdivian's Finest. I'm co-creator, and James is also co-creator.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's a little brief introduction of like who we are. But first of all, what is Jam, right? Just in case there's anyone here that doesn't know. I doubt that, but you know, it's possible.
yeah, I mean, jam is a thick, sweet spread made by cooking fruit and sugar. It's easy to spread and tastes great on a bit of toast.
I hate that, thank you.
I'm glad I'm so sat far away from him.
So, jam is a lovely word that now has multiple connotations, as demonstrated right here. Jams you may be familiar with from game jams, which is where a video game producer may produce an entire game within like a ridiculously small period, such as like 72 hours. And it's like all a challenge. And then PodJam, or which is short for podcast jam, is a similar theme where people get together and they create audio fiction within a time limit. And yeah, specifically last year, that time limit was 3 days to do all your recording and all your editing and getting the episode completely finished. However, this year, participants have an entire month to work with, which is very different from last year.
Yeah, 3 days is insane.
It's insane, but we did it.
Especially now that we've got the month to work with, looking back to the fact that we did what we did last year in 3 days, and the fact that everyone did what they did in 3 days last year is crazy, especially with some of the projects that were there.
Absolutely. It was beautiful though. There was definitely like a just get it done aspect to it that really pushed us into just getting it done. Although I'm excited to see what like the advanced preparation will bring this year for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when we started, how experienced were you guys? Or how much experience did you have with creating podcasts before this?
I'll go first. I didn't have any experience. I had a little bit of like VA stuff where I helped a friend out with some VA on a project at university, something that he'd wrote. But beyond that, nothing. And VA was just something I was wanting to get into, and this got brought to my attention, so I went for it.
Yeah, and you did amazingly, I want to say. Everybody here...
Too kind.
Everybody here was new to Jam, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
I think you all did amazing.
I went into the jam with nothing more than like a wish and a dream. But I feel like that's all you really need to get started anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you're watching this and you want to take part in the jam, just sign up. If I can like do it, you can as well.
Yeah, and my experience personally, I mean, I've done some TV and film stuff before, but audio fiction was just something I wanted to get into, but didn't necessarily have any experience in actually doing. For those who don't know, for context, I'm part of the mod team, so I was part of the team that brought Jam into existence. However, a large part of that really does go down to Finch, who really took the ideas that we had and made them actually happen with all those logistics and organizational skills. But yeah, and Jam came along and it was an opportunity to actually produce something with people. And Nat, what about you?
I'm similar to Cole in the sense that I did do some film and TV stuff, but as far as audio drama goes, like I said, my audio drama experience is just sending Cole voice messages about the drama at work. So when it came down to PodJam, that was like the first time I actually did any voice acting, which was very fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I got to meet a bunch of new people.
Yeah, that's a really good part of it, the amount of people that you meet and everything. We'll get into all that stuff later. So that's where we started. And where did we finish, guys? Let's start with James. Like, what did you feel you gained by the end of the process of PodJam 2024?
Well, I'm not. It's not like I'm unfamiliar with script writing. I went to TV and film college, the same one, fully enough, as you and that.
Had Keelan.
Oh yeah, I'm. Whoops.
No, it's scary, but make your point.
It's
Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's safe to say I prefer my stories take the shape and the form of like a book or like a novel. However, like working on Valdivian allowed me to kind of step out of my comfort zone a bit and consider like the differences between the two mediums. Notably, I learnt to trim down my action blocks so there's not a paragraph between each line. I still like to include little extras that only the cast will see though. If it's like a joke or like a little detail that maybe like isn't like seen or heard by the audience.
Yeah. And
Got exclusives.
Yes. I'm pretty similar. I mean, I'd done script writing for TV before, but like audio is an entirely different medium. Like you can't rely on the visual senses at all. It really makes you think in a completely different way. So I'm like very much with James on that one. And what about you, Nat?
About writing audio fiction.
No, but like what you gained about from like
Working
being a
with
beginner.
Valdivian.
What you gained from Valdivian.
Right, so what I gained from Valdivian was an interesting experience of being able to be directed when I'm talking about how I should sound, which like I said, I've done a little bit of voice acting before, but it was never it's never been proper, as in like no one's ever directed me on what I should say and how I should say it. So it was nice getting like feedback and being told how to speak properly. It was fun.
Yeah. And Keelan, what about you?
I certainly echo that feeling of direction. I think a lot of just the collaborative process of voice acting, where you're saying, "Oh, I might think maybe it should be said this way," and you're saying it should be said that way, and we get to like the point where we can whittle down to where we really like the way it's being done. But the whole process in general of just like figuring out the character and how it's going to work and working with the team to get it all to work the way that we wanted to, especially with the time that we had. It's certainly a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of add to what Keelan said there, I think something that was quite new for me, I'm not sure if it's like the same for you guys, but it's just like the whole experience was a very collaborative.
Exactly.
And you're working with each other. I don't think I've ever really worked on anything where it's been this like collaborative before, and that was something that took some getting used to. But I really, really, really like appreciated it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I feel like it was a long time coming for us two to work on something together.
Yes, I would never have guessed it would have been an audio drama, but I'm very, very happy it was.
Yeah. So before we jump into the entire process of PodJam, because that's what we want to go through, you want to go from the very beginning to the end of the process, any tips or tricks that we've got that might be able to help anyone, new or returning, when it comes to PodJam 2025. Let's talk about what even is Valdivian? Where are we? What is this?
I'm glad you asked. It's only the first choice of intergalactic courier for people throughout the solar system. Why?
The universe, no.
Yeah, the universe. I mean, why run to the shop when there's a crew of people who will travel light years with essentials such as a extendable foam finger?
Exactly. Exactly. Valdivian is a dystopian comedy in the framing of a sitcom, which is set in the future, with a company which is named after a real rainforest. So do with that what you will. Make any connections you would like, or don't make any connections. It's up to you. And it sets it's it's set in a very, very, very small area for living quarters on a courier ship, and it has 4 very, very dysfunctional people from completely different ends of the galaxy having to work and live together for their dead end job. Yeah, I think that's Valdivian essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Bit of an office comedy type deal.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
A dysfunctional family and
A
stuff.
dysfunctional, like a
Found
dysfunctional
family.
work comedy.
Found family is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they're quite there in the pilot.
No,
No.
definitely not.
But yeah, let's let's have a think about the beginning. So how did this start? Because when we got together initially for the PodJam, of course I'm with the moderator team, so I knew that PodJam was coming before it was even announced. And then once it was finally announced, and I was like, hey guys, I want to do a thing, who's interested? We didn't have the idea for Valdivian. We got into a voice chat. And we just started talking to each other. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what we came up with. But while I find this, would you guys like to talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, Cole messaged me at one time. It was like 1 a.m. for me, I remember this. Because I was in a different time zone. And she was like, so, I've got this audio fiction thing I'm doing. Would you like to be a character? And this is, I'm assuming this is way after you guys started planning and everything, because at that point, you'd already had, like, an idea. And I was like, hell yeah! But what's it for?
This
I
is how you
remember-
recruit people.
Yeah, I remember Cole kind of like mentioning the jam to me. I can't remember like if it was like multiple times, but I was working on something kind of like previously to that. I had a bit of a stump with it. I was kind of looking to work on something else, and I think Cole timed it very, very well. He was like, "Oh, hey, do you want to work on? You know, we've been meaning to like work on something together for like ages," and she came to me with like this, you know, the jam.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sure, I'll work on that. Signed up, kind of like not really thinking anything of it, and then obviously it ended up becoming this.
Yeah. So what I'm going to pop onto the screen here is the original document that we made when we first got together and decided to brainstorm. Now, I want to note here that you don't have to start PodJam with a team already established. We did a bit of a halfway thing where we got people together at the beginning and then we found more people. However, you don't need to do that. There is a channel called Help Wanted, and we'll be talking about that later in the recruitment process here. But once you do have a team, if you don't have an idea, or if you want to develop an idea, I really recommend just hopping into a voice chat, getting someone to write down every idea that anyone says. Just don't ignore
Absolutely
anything.
everything.
Yeah. As you can see here, this is not very Valdivian. we got a 60s style alien crash landing. Our friend Hannah's script, which would not have been allowed because PodJam you have to write during the period.
I will take the blame. I think that was my suggestion.
But we didn't take it, so it's all good.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting script, though. This is the Valdivian idea on the 4th bullet point here.
It is, but it also kind of isn't. It was the very first
It's
version.
the basic original bullet point, essentially. Not even essentially, just exactly. This is the bullet point that led to what Valdivian was.
Yeah.
It's the seed, yeah.
And then we really fell in love with that, and then we started developing it. We started writing absolutely everything down, including cyborg politics. Why do I need this subscription in this virus? There be ads in my boots. Wild West, but not sexist or racist. Stranger going into town, gangs and bounty hunters. This didn't make it.
Listen, I really wanted to write like a Western at that time.
We were on a science fiction and you were like, it's the next Wild West.
Yeah.
But some of it does make it into the thing, such as actually no, this did not make it in. Team of people on a small ship that is part of a larger company. Characters may be sick of each other on a small company-issued ship. Redacted but space. Redacted pay. That, look at how far that is down our like bullet point list. And yeah, and then we fell in love with that. We started creating it. We started talking about characters and such, with names such as teenager and slacker. But yeah, and then we
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that document obviously was kind of just like laying the groundwork for the show. But things, obviously, like we've just said, like things still changed well into the script writing phase, actually. I think I was actually looking through that document before because I wanted to try and like, just like kind of like, well, look down the memory lane, I suppose. And we do have a list of deliveries, like potential delivery items. And it's just, I rediscovered, you know, the simple pleasure of like incorporating sci-fi lingo when referring to an everyday item. I think to this day, the toasty fabricator still has a special place in my heart.
And then after we got our ideas down, now this is a part of the process that you can do straight away if you don't have a team. We went to a channel in the Podcast Book Club server, which was dedicated to the jam, that was all about finding crewmates. Or, well, we call them crewmates, team members.
Comrades.
Yes. So yeah,
Friends.
we made this. Graphics not required, by the way. We're just extra.
Yeah.
We put this out here. We knew exactly what we wanted at this point. We had a couple of voice characters ideas, because you can't write before the writing period, or in this case the jam month, but you can brainstorm ideas, and we knew that we wanted a scene with a mystery shopper, an angry customer, and miscellaneous to give us a couple, like, give us a bit of room to breathe there if we came up with new ideas. And we wanted an AI voice. And when we posted that, we got two DMs from two very, very talented people, and we were very blessed to be able to work with Dan
Very
Mack
blessed.
and Leo B. Moss. Dan took on the voice of the AI, and now originally when we had the idea for the AI, we were thinking like your Tesco checkout customer service, like, hello.
Yeah, just very, just
Basic
very, very
AI.
like monotone. Yeah, but
Please
I think,
pack your bags.
yeah, I think. Well, I mean, we can't. Yeah, I mean, when we actually went to recording the lines and stuff like later on, slightly with the teasers that we'll discuss momentarily. You know, Dan gave the eye this like delightfully patronizing tone, which kind of like straddled the line between artificial and human in a way which is just incredible to listen to. And that kind of it just really elevated that character kind of like beyond what was written on the page.
Yeah,
And it was the exact same with Moss.
yeah. This is something that's really important to consider when it comes to the PodJam. You are getting voice actors before you can write the script, which means that ideally, my number one piece of advice there would be that write characters, but write them for your voice actors that you have, because they will bring on some element that you have not considered that will really elevate the performance. And perhaps you've written a character that's just not going to suit the voice of the available voice actors in your team, and that's completely okay. You're in control of the project. You can change that up.
It's not a casting call.
Yeah, that's something really important about PodJam. You don't really get to choose. You can choose to join a team, but you can't really cherry pick your team members, which I think is delightful, because it's part of the challenge, is working with people that you wouldn't have worked with otherwise, and then creating something beautiful with those people.
It will shape the way the project goes in a way that might not have been what you originally intended, but ends up still being really, well, not even still, just being great in a way that it might not have been beforehand, before you'd considered the way that your voice actors work or the rest of the team works.
Yeah, I think you know, for those of you like taking part in the jam, you just know like you have to be ready to compromise. Everyone working on Valdivian was very, very passionate about the project, and we did have like disagreements on like what shape the pilot teasers of the episode would take. But together we learned that like if we remain open to other people's ideas, we can create something greater than like what maybe we initially had thought of.
Absolutely. I personally think that the best things are made through collaboration
Yeah.
because it's just, I don't know, you only have like one perspective and one set of ideas, you know? There's only things to be gained by including others in the process. But yeah, I just wanted to show something that we made as soon as we had our team members together, because we pulled together a team of people that we knew, and then we invited people that we didn't know. But we didn't want to just leave these people out of the process. We wanted this to be a team collaboration. So we made a Spotify playlist.
Oh, yes. You mean the Valdivian Courier Service mandated Epic Funtime playlist?
It's beautiful. It's 8 hours and 30 minutes long.
Yep.
And yeah, everyone just put in for this, and yeah, it's got Dizzy Rascal in there somewhere.
Yeah, it was a fun like icebreaker to kind of like talk with the cast. I remember Dan adding specifically an Ezra Furman song. I'd be like, yes, I know that person. I love Ezra Furman. And it's a nice way of like, like I said, breaking the ice and just kind of. So it is good to like, kind of have that relationship with your cast. I think it just helps.
Exactly. Find a way to, get to know everyone else working on the project and what they're into, what they want to do.
Yeah. We also made something else. Now, I think this might be a little bit extra. You don't necessarily need this, but I like docs, okay? I like organization. We made a Welcome to Valdivian's Finest document, which had basically all of the information that we had a plan, and we shared this with everybody on the team. Title subject to change. It never did change. I'm not going to go into all of this document, one, because I don't want the stream to be even longer than it will be, but also because it's got some like personal details on there.
Oh, yeah,
things like that. So it just had a welcome. I can show the welcome actually. It just kind of like established our expectations that like teamwork and inclusivity are main focus, things like that. We're taking a voice actor first approach. Things we'd like you guys to know, like we'd like to talk to you as much as you're comfortable with. There will be rehearsals, who to talk to, things like that. And for me personally, I think that was a good way to kind of get across a lot of information in a very organized way.
Keep the team in the know on what the plan is, essentially. Yeah. And, you do that through the whole project, but from the get-go, it's very helpful to have an idea of how things are going to go moving forward.
And it also really helped me as well because I was, like I said, in a different time zone and didn't get a chance to really make it to any of the voice meetings that much. So I had something to look back on and be like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing, kind of thing.
Exactly.
I'm glad it helped. I put effort into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we get onto the phase where we were still waiting. We were going to submit our team. Everything was pretty much ready to go on that front, but we couldn't write. The writing was banned. We couldn't do it.
Not for the pilot, anyway.
Not allowed.
Yeah, but we could plan. In fact, I believe it was our team. I think, James, you had the idea of, like, what if we could make teasers, though?
Yeah, I think I had, kind of, like, during the brainstorming thing, like, oh, but what like, think of, the two teasers I originally kind of said as ideas for the pilot. But I think you rightfully said, like, yeah, no, we can't be, that's too small of an idea, but they worked quite well as, like, a teaser format. And just for teasers were, like, a great way to, it's like an exercise for skills we'd be relying on later on.
Yeah, so the teasers are a way for you to test your editing skills, test your writing skills, get the voice actors on board to figure out their voices and things like that before you get into the jam period. Because the jam period, you really want to focus on the jam, in my opinion. You want to focus on the pilot during that time. And it also allows you, if you've got this extra time before, like, it's jam month, to just, like, go ahead and create something and get everyone on board. And yeah, I think the testing was really important because we hadn't edited before.
Yeah.
We're not sound designers. Well, maybe we are
Yeah.
now.
I mean,
It's
for voice actors as well, just like being able to have that chance to like settle into the way that you're going to play the character and get an idea for it before the recording within the allocated time for the pilot. Especially considering last year we only had 3 days. It was so vital to be able to have that time to get a proper idea on how you're going to wrap yourself around that concept.
And we are going to talk more about this, but first of all, I would like to play one of the teasers, which is the orientation teaser, for you guys. Give me a moment to get that up. But yeah, a quick bit of context about the orientation. Does anyone want to talk about that one?
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah, kind of. Another reason for the teasers as well is just like it was a good way to kind of like immerse, ourselves into a world a bit more and kind of learn a bit more
And the viewers.
about. Yeah, and I remember spending God knows how long jotting down notes watching an orientation video from another company, which I cannot name for legal reasons.
Before you get into that, for context, the first teaser we made was an orientation video as if you were going to be signing on for the Valdivian company to be a courier. And I've got it right here. So we're going to mute for a minute and let you guys have a listen to the teaser that we made before we talk about that process.
Greetings, courier, and thank you for taking part in our orientation program. We hope that by the end of this experience, you will feel more connected to Valdivian. And what better way to get acquainted with one another than a quick history lesson? Established in the late 23rd century by our founder, Mark Bezel, Valdivian was one of the first intergalactic courier services. We may not have had the most ships or the largest reach, but regardless, we aim to be the galaxy's most trusted courier network and ensure every package gets to our customers on time. No matter what. A humble dream, now a reality thanks to hard work and continued customer satisfaction. This is where your chapter begins. Here at Valdivian, we do everything for our customers. But that doesn't mean we can't share the love. After all, a happy worker equals a happier consumer. No matter your role, you are a leader too. We see substantial growth each year. Our renovated planetary depots have been crucial in helping us meet our increasing customer demand, and we are only just beginning. Safety starts with you, and in this section, we will discuss the measures taken in order to maintain a safe working environment. So strap in, because first on the agenda is safely piloting one of our Valdivian Courier Service cargo ships. Recognizing hazards is essential, and in the frontiers of space, you have to be 10.5 steps ahead at all times. The onboard AI and autopilot systems are meant to assist you, but we urge employees to remain vigilant, even when traveling on interstellar highways. A minor slip-up can greatly impact the customer experience. Here are examples of hazards you may face and appropriate ways to prevent them. Pockets of debris traveling at lethal velocity. Hazardous materials including, but not limited to, human remains, venomous amphibians, cryogenically frozen fetuses, milk, radium dials, asbestos, batteries. The consumption of trademark grog from Galaxy Servo is prohibited entirely, and any employees discovered to be harboring it will be terminated. We have always put ourselves at the front line of inclusivity, and with the growing number of artificial peoples, we are bravely offering our employment to all. That about does it, courier. You are officially all caught up and ready to deliver an excellent customer experience. It is with great pleasure that we welcome you into our little family over here at Valdivian. And don't forget, What do we deliver?
The future. The future. The future. Yeah. Oh. 1 second!
And remember, we're always listening.
Can I just say, absolutely iconic that immediately after that, the next episode of Hamiel Burger started
Absolutely iconic that immediately.
and also an echo, yay! But yeah, the fact that Hamiel Burger episode 5 immediately started playing after that, beautiful. Not intentional for
The
context.
algorithm
though.
doing its job.
It is. Yeah, so that was the first teaser that we released. And it was super, super crucial, right? Because we had to figure out I mean James, had to figure out how to create the AI voice, which was integral because the AI, I think, has the most lines of any of the characters, possibly.
Yes.
No, that's
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah,
Slack has the most lines, I remember.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is
I remember.
crazy.
I remember. That was really surprising. Yeah.
that sounds counterintuitive, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it does. But yeah, so that was super important.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun kind of writing that teaser as well, because I think with a lot of these kind of like orientation things, I think Nat just kind of said, "Oh yeah," in quotations, little family. These like big conglomerates like to masquerade as like a humble family business. They like, insist on this narrative. They make jokes, or I mean, try to make jokes would be more accurate. And these things like, and they do it all kind of like to have this kind of, I suppose, sense of like relatability.
So yeah,
But it just
Um,
uses a cult.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what informed the direction of that first teaser.
I love that you watched actual like orientation videos to create a more realistic orientation video. I think I was working a lot at the time, and James was kind of like, I want to make this teaser, and I was like, have at it, bro.
Also, I'm saying this like I was forced to watch it. No, I this was like self-inflicted.
But as for more general advice there, some of the key things that we learned during that was the editing. How were we going to edit this particular voice that was integral to the pilot ahead of time, so we weren't scrambling in the 2 days that we had. Granted, you guys have more than 2 days or 3 days to edit. Realistically, it was 2 days since you needed to record. A bit more. We're giving ourselves a week this year, I think, or maybe 2 weeks. I forget. I've got a schedule somewhere. But yeah, if you can get as much prep and figuring out your sound design ahead of the project, oh my gosh, that's so much less stress.
Yeah, I'm really, really glad we managed to figure out like the AI voice during this teaser, because if we were still figuring it out during the pilot, that would have been just like a lot more stress.
Yeah. If you know you're going to be doing some challenging or interesting sound effects, make sure to do them. Well, it's not obligatory, but I really, really heavily recommend trying them out in the format of a teaser. Plus, teasers are great because then you share them with people, you generate a little bit of interest for your show that's coming up, and also some excitement, and proof of concept.
That too.
I don't know if you guys remember when we shared the teasers with you guys originally, but that feeling of like, oh my god, actually we can do this was amazing. There was a second teaser which had all the characters in it, which is something else I recommend because it allowed voice actors to try out the characters. I say all the characters, actually Slack wasn't in it. Slack was mentioned.
Characteristically of her, to be fair.
But Keelan, as our resident voice actor who was on the trailer, the teaser there, how was that process for you?
Was I?
Yeah, you Miller, when he gets not this teaser but the other teaser.
Oh, the other teaser.
Yeah, the
Right.
second teaser.
I was very confused there. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
What was the question again?
Yeah, how was that process for you? Because this was the first time you voice acted for Miller.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly very helpful in figuring out like how I was wanting to voice the character and giving a bit of a window into discussing with you how you wanted the character to sound, and the way that I would be able to approach that vision to find that like that compromise of this is the best way the character will sound. It was really good for just settling into the role, really.
Yeah, and I well, forgive me if I'm like misremembering this, but didn't you also do some like editing in terms of like tone pitching?
A little bit, yeah. I did do a
Yeah.
little bit of things that it gave me a chance to mess around with different effects of like pitching down and changing different things in order to make it try and sound the way that
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that most of the time you guys were like, no, this sounds great, and I was like, no, I want it to sound a certain way.
Yeah. I think the voice you landed on for Miller is very very fitting for his character.
Oh, thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Keelan is like looking to be a good chunk of our voices in general with Valdivian moving forward.
He certainly has the range.
Yeah, Keelan has massive range, and I think Miller just scratches the surface of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after the teasers, I'm not going to play the second teaser, but if you guys are interested, that's on the Valdivian's Finest Spotify. I'm not going to play it just for time's sake, but we're going to move on to talking about the writing, because we could finally write. After this process, it was time. Now, for the 2025 Jam, the writing, editing, and recording all take place in the same month, whereas with the 2024 Jam, we had a specific writing period, which was completely separate from the recording and editing. If you guys want to, like, emulate that, you still can by, like, scheduling yourselves. But let's talk a little bit about our process. James, is there anything you want to start us on when it comes to the writing process?
Well, I remember obviously we had a lot of the ideas from which originally came from that brainstorming document, and we kind of ordered them, got them, like wrote them down as like little scenes, maybe like 2 lines to describe what was going on, and then we shared them amongst ourselves kind of equally so that we could write, and then we also had shared scenes on top of that.
Yeah. We organised these scenes, since they took the place of framing device, was that they were logs, so it made it easy for us to be like, okay, scene here, scene here, scene here. Then we colour-coded them by which character it was focused on, and we wanted it to be an even distribution across the characters, because none of our characters are leading characters. They all share the spotlight together. So we did that. And then we organised them, then we moved them around if we thought that, oh, this is like the incorrect place for this one, I think this should happen earlier. We had another thing is we had a list of background conversations. If you listen to the Valdivian's Finest pilot, you'll notice that we have lots of like conversations happening in the background, because we really wanted to communicate that how tiny the space was that these people were living in, that they're basically always in each other's pockets.
I think something else to like bring up as well is that obviously kind of towards, at that point in the process when we first started writing, we thought we'd settled on the story, like it was set in stone now. But the like episode we made in the end is like very, very different. Because like when we started writing the pilot, we shared the scenes out. I was kind of chipping away at mine. But I was kind of struggling with something, and then I kind of just realised I wasn't really happy with what we had originally kind of put down for the plot. It was like kind of like it was just, well, because of like the nature of like brainstorming, it was like almost like too much plot happening in such a short period of time, and I thought that kind of took away from the characters.
Yeah.
And I remember phoning Cole to propose like a rework, and together we kind of over that phone call, kind of the pilot took like a different shape,
Yeah.
which involved a fluffy toilet seat cover.
Specifically, what the problem was when we entered PodJam, we entered with the idea that we were making this episode and then we were done. There was not going to be anything that was going to follow it. So
yeah, that's. Yeah. Sorry, no.
What we were essentially doing was we were fitting the entire season overarching plot into a single episode, because we were like, we want to get the story out there. It's not going to be in any other format. This is how it is. Then you called me and I was like, I've been feeling the exact same way. I think you said to me, it was like, I feel like we could actually make this into a fully fledged thing. And I was like, no, because I've been feeling this as well, but I've not been wanting to say that because I didn't know if everyone else would be down. And then once you did suggest that, you were like, oh, I don't know, because we're so close to the deadline. And I was like, no, this is so doable. I opened up the doc. I opened up this doc and I said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to remove these logs. Yeah. We're going to put these logs in here. We're going to move them around a bit. We'll come up with a couple different logs. This plot line about buying this thing, let's move it here.
Yeah, because I think in the brainstorm document, like kind of like Overlooked Stories item thing was just like a subplot in the whole episode, and that ended up becoming the like main narrative and stuff. Because I think that was a subplot, but I think the cat in the original like plot of the story was just kind of there, like it wasn't really connected, and we kind of like we have all these random strands, we need to tie them together somehow. Yeah. And I don't know how, but like a fluffy toilet seat cover happened to be like the cure for that.
It's so superfluous, but at the same time, like, people in dire straits spending all their money on like a bit the luxury, as Slack would like to say.
Yeah.
Is, I don't know, it really speaks to the context of the setting and everything.
Yeah, I think it really encapsulates. Yeah, it encapsulates like I think the whole theme of like the show is like it's quite lighthearted, but it's also based in this this like dystopian future, really.
Yeah, they decide to sell a generator. Oh no, they don't sell a generator. They sell off like some spacesuits. Which, you know, you don't necessarily want to do, because the problem is they get deducted. They had the budget for this fluffy toilet seat cover, and then the company screwed them over. And then they had to give up one of their necessities in order to still buy this thing, which just shows you how much this like tiny little luxury meant so much to these like very bleak situation characters. But I think the takeaway from this is mostly that if you're getting a bit like, I feel like we should be doing something different, voice that, because you might not be alone in that feeling, and it can absolutely be doable.
Yeah, it was so funny, because I remember phoning you, kind of being like, oh, I don't know, I've left this I think I've left this too long now, and then when you voiced the exact same thing, it was such a relief. It was so good working together to kind of like rework it.
Absolutely. I was glad you said it, because I was like, I was too scared to say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
And then we would write independently, and then we would redraft together. This is something that's so important. When you're script writing, please work with your voice actors. For example, Nat in particular, you were doing an accent which you are very familiar with, that we weren't writing for.
Yeah. And there was a lot of words that I was like, I mean, the and some and but I mean, realistically in this accent, nah. That's a lot of hassle for that accent. And some words just didn't work anyway.
Yeah,
just straight up.
It might not even be an accent issue. Sometimes wording just it looks good on paper, but then as soon as the voice actor speaks it, it's like, ooh, I don't know about that actually. That doesn't sound like something a human would say.
Yeah, I remember having that experience with Dan during the orientation teaser at the very end, where it says, in the final teaser, you know, he says, you know, we are listening, but originally it was like, we are monitoring. And that's just, it was quite clunky, and I remember Dan actually said that to me, and went, well, we can change it to this if this sounds more natural. Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen to your voice actors, work with your voice actors. Especially Dan and Leo had such good ideas, even for like when we were going over Anna Maria has this little bit where she says she's from this university and she studied this course, and it's incredibly long nonsense sci-fi words and I was having trouble reading it, and then I think it was Moss who was like, hey, put a hyphen here, put this here, separate these two, maybe replace that. And I was like, oh my god, I can read now. I couldn't read until this moment. So that was quite good. And we got together to talk about that. I've got a specific clip I'd like to share with you guys. Discord went down.
Yes.
Very close to the PodJam period. And we had to use Google Meets, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
And I just
this is
to share this.
a peek into the creative process.
This beautiful, beautiful thing. If my... Oh no, have I crashed? Oh god, I thought I crashed for a second there. Is everyone still here?
Yes.
You're buffering?
Okay,
Oh, I'm
cool.
buffering.
Yeah, we got it.
Alright, good stuff. Was that a Discord thing? It might have been.
Maybe.
Alright, I'm gonna play this clip.
Where Miller and Slack have that long ass conversation. That's good, but you know.
Nord.
Nord.
Nord as in like...
Oh.
Okay, can we hear that one again? Second take.
I love that. That's one of my favorite clips. Yeah, so that was the little peek into that process there where we had to like get onto Google Meets. I discovered that you could replace your avatar with like a fully rigged 3D model just for fun, so I became a cat.
Yeah, and believe it or not, from what you, despite what you might think after watching that clip, it actually was a productive meeting.
It was.
It was.
It was good. We had a couple things that we did for workflow, especially if you're working with a co-writer. Divvying out what you're going to write is pretty useful. Since they were logs, it was easy just to give each other some logs. I took all the Anna Maria and Slack scenes, and James took all of the Miller and Sam scenes. On that.
That I did.
Yeah. We had a couple shared scenes, but what we ended up doing is we shared the finale together because that was like really crucial. And then with the scenes where all the characters were involved, we were going to share them originally, but something about the format of logs. Now, when it comes to novel writing, I always get hit. I get to 40k words and I can't get past that. Like that's where I'm stuck. But something about this format of getting a scene, having like
just spoke to you.
Yeah, having 2 sentences about what is supposed to be in the scene, and just being able to write that just meant that my productivity just went insane during that time, and I was able to get them out really quickly. And then we would present the early drafts to the rest of the crew, and we did table reads. Oh my gosh, table reads are so important.
Yeah.
Is there anything you two would like to say about the table read experience?
Just honestly, it was really, really helpful just being able to see exactly how everyone else was planning to play their characters and how exactly they were going to enunciate the sentences and the tone and everything. So it gives you a bit more of an idea of how you should do your own. So that everything is, it sounds cohesive if you know how everyone else is going to do their part. So it made it so much easier in just knowing how to play a character. Like, just that whittling down to the best version of the character that it can be.
Yeah, because you had like an immediate kind of like response and
Exactly.
kind of notes on it. Yeah.
And also, like you said, like being able to respond to the other characters in real time. It's very different from like recording lines at home and just sending them in. And I think the actual result speaks to that a lot. And Nat, for you talked about like having direction for the first time, which would have come from the table reads. How was that?
it was also just really nice being able to hear the whole like script in a way. Well, not script. Well, yeah, the idea of the character, and being able to see how it kind of flowed, because I could read it myself and it would be all in my head, and obviously I don't know what the characters sound like apart from the one that I would be doing, and even then I still wouldn't know because I've not like voiced it out yet. But it was nice to like, because I was reading it alone and I was thinking, oh, okay, so this is how it's gonna kind of go, and then we actually did a table reading and I was like, oh, okay, this character's got a bit more sass. Okay, got it. And it was nice to have that kind of like, it's like basically the audio drama's already done, but like it's live. So you kind of get to see it first and then be like, okay, cool, this is what we're recording. That's kind of what I have to match. And yeah, like you said, the direction was very handy because I can record as many lines as I want to and send you like 20, but you could still say like, oh, these are all not that great, and I want you to redo them all again. But then I would still not know how you want me to say it. So having that live direction really does make a big difference.
Yeah, I think the table reads were like a great time to kind of give you kind of more insight into the character you were playing as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like stuff that maybe wasn't on the script, like kind of like informing you and like, well, Slack would react in this way because of this reason.
Yes, because I wasn't. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it gives you an idea of the scene, but it gives you more of a familiarity with your own character as well.
Yeah, because everyone's pretty, I'd say, kind of reserved in terms of their past. They don't really say anything like that much about their past. But yeah, the characters don't. Yeah. So we could kind of like give you a bit more information.
Yeah, like
about that.
Yeah, this character is immediately snapping at this character for XYZ. By the way, like stuff like that, which we would then get to explore in like further episodes. And yeah, that's not that we'd ever tell you that your 20 lines you record are terrible and that you need to redo them.
No.
No. I wasn't insinuating that. But it's just the fact that like, because like I said, I was far away, and not like you could easily call me anytime and tell me to do something like if you needed it again. But it just made it easier if we all found like a certain time and did everything that we need to do in one time.
I really appreciate your dedication for recording lines at 1 a.m.
Yes.
We'll talk about
that.
We will talk about that in the next section, which is going to talk about the voice acting. But yeah, we were juggling time zones, and Nat was in 2 different time zones at separate parts in the project. I think you were 8 hours ahead, and then you were 9 hours ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's the thing. When you're working with the Jam, the BBC is super diverse when it comes to where people come from. If you're at the convention, you would know that, because like we had things going on at all hours. So you're going to have to learn how to like juggle with these different time zones. And on some ends, that means that some of you may end up having to stay up quite late and sacrifice a little bit of sleep if you can. If you're lucky and it's like a 5-hour difference or something like that, maybe you'll be a bit more forgiving. But that's just something to bear in mind, that if you do want that collaborative experience and to get the best out of being a team, there is going to be a bit of running around with some time zones. But yeah, and then after that, it was, once we had everything down, it was finally time for the Jam, which was 3 days. Not reflective of the current Jam, which is a month long. It was a great time, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed it,
Yeah, I had so much fun. And we were like, okay, so we need to take advantage of these 72 hours that we've got and just absolutely min-max this process. So we were like, day 1, voice acting. Voice actors, get it all done in day 1. And how was that for you guys?
It was definitely good fun. I remember like when we were doing the actual recording for the project, me, Nat, and James were all on a call together. We had that luxury.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were able to like give each other a little bit more direction there. But it also helped a lot, especially for when our characters were interacting.
Definitely.
Just for that same, just like the flow of the conversation before. But like, I mean, personally, I don't think it was like a massive ask for it to be done in one day. I had the day free, so being able to get it done all at once was a lot of fun, but it also gave us more time because we still had the second 2 days to do. Like, if there was anything needed redoing, or if there was anything extra that was needed to be added, then there was time for that to be done.
Good
Yeah.
thing as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a very good thing because we got to day 2 and day 3 when we were editing and we forgot some things. Critically, one was when we had did this. I think it's really fun. The AI, whenever we knew that the AI was going to be repeating a line, for example, the logs, for example, item and stuff like that, we used the same line every time. And Dan produced some absolutely amazing lines for that sounded really cool. But we also asked Dan to record letters 1 to 9 because the logs are itemized by number. And I forgot to ask for 0. So we had to, like, I think day 2 or day 3 editing and realize that we don't have the number 0. Had to, like, message Dan and be like, hi, I'm so sorry if you're asleep, but can I get the number 0 from you real quick?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
And to be fair, he recorded it so quickly as well and sent it our way, which is very, 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 very nice of him.
Yes. Both Dan and Leo were absolutely amazing voice actors, and we're very blessed for having them lend their talent to us because they were the part of the team that we didn't pre-organize, and they absolutely pulled through, and the episode would not be what it was without them.
Definitely, yeah.
I think there's something to mention. It's not as relevant as last time because last time was 3 days and this time's a month. But, you know, be there for the rest of your team. You know, you have to be there because if they need something, you need to be able to give it. So you can't just do your bit and then, you know, go radio silent. There might be more than is needed from you. And even beyond that, you might be able to help with other areas that aren't explicitly your role.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a team process. I mean, personally for Valdivian, like, we're going to get onto that, but when we were in the editing process, for a large amount of that, we had Keelan in a voice call with us.
Yeah,
giving us a third-party opinion.
Yeah, day 2 was like one long Discord call.
And yeah, one more thing on voice acting. We had a brilliant extra voice actor, actually. The other member of the Valdivian crew, Whisper May.
Of course.
Oh my god, the best.
I'm so sorry, guys, but she is my favourite personally, and she's my cat.
It's fine. I'm aware of the bias. It's cool.
Is she free to comment?
Not currently, no. She's not here.
Too busy. Okay,
yeah, she's a bit of a diva.
She's a highly sought after actor. She really used Valdivian as like a jumping off point.
Yeah, she also ranged because she was playing a kitten and she's like 13 years old.
She's young at heart.
It's like that one Steve Buscemi clip where it's like, how do you do, fellow kids?
Fellow kids.
But yeah, and then so we get into day 2. Now, originally, James and I had these very fanciful ideas that we were going to do just the biggest sleepover for Jam. And then we were like, actually, we're going to edit separately mostly, and that's just not going to work on one laptop at my house. So let's table that idea. And that means that we can actually speak to a process which didn't happen entirely in person, which will be happening for most of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
yeah,
the sleepover did eventually happen, and just to make it clear, sleepovers are not a required part of Jam. However, they are fun.
Yeah. If you just happen to personally know your co-creator and have known him for many years and just have a very good friendship, just by chance, I do recommend a sleepover. Also, comments on, I didn't realize that one of our teasers was not on Podchaser, I will get onto that as soon as I can, because I totally get that. We're also going to look into getting Valdivian on YouTube in general. In general, we've not really been very proactive on getting it on many platforms, so I apologize for that. We'll get it for you soon.
On Spotify.
Yeah, but Spotify's blocked in some countries.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
rough.
know that.
Yeah, so ideally we want to get it onto some more agreeable platforms.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, day 2 comes along. We're editing. We're having these Discord calls. We're asking Keelan to scream into the microphone.
Yeah.
Asking me to
usual.
snore.
Yeah.
Call me biased, but it's still one of my favorite clips.
And like Quill said, we were sending like Quill's in the chat said over here, we were sending snippets into the jam chat, just the most unhinged things we could send, like a science fiction toilet being flushed, and
Very out of context.
yeah, the specific bit where we got Keelan to scream was this delivery gone wrong, where Sam has just busted down a door and the residents are just screaming.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I think we have it on the soundboard. Does anyone want to play that?
Let me do it. Wait, that's activities. Wait, I'm not good at Discord. Soundboard. Is it this one? No.
No.
That would be
No.
a door.
Not that
I
one.
didn't know we had that on the soundboard.
Oh, there's more. Hold on. No, there isn't.
Does someone
Okay,
else
someone
want
else
to
can
do
play
this? Oh,
I
yeah,
don't think
you're
it
gonna
sounds-
need Prime, actually. I'm gonna... Not
Yeah,
Prime, Nitro.
well,
I'm
you
gonna
do
play
You
it.
do it.
I'm gonna play it.
You play it. You
Yeah,
play it.
I'm a Nitro haver.
God.
Okay, so we have Delivery. This is the one where we got Keelan to scream.
Delivery.
Ah, Jesus Christ!
Beautiful performance. I love that.
I told you.
And
I
then...
had to go across
Keelan has
the room
range.
for that. Because I mean it helped a lot because it made it sound like it was in the distance, but like if I did it next to the mic it would have clipped so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great performance. I think I react like in a similar way if like a robot kicked down my door.
And then we also have the science fiction toilet flush, which I'm going to play now. Beautiful.
That pump is mighty.
Or a lot of the future.
Yeah,
The sound of the future.
absolute state of that. But yeah, a note on sound effects. We had a mix of paid and free sound effects. This was because we knew we were working in science fiction. We knew our set was entirely taking place on a ship. So we were like, hey, let's get some ship noises that sound good. So then we went ahead and we found some sound effects packs with licenses that would suit that. However, that's not required. There are so many free sound out there, including freesound.org.
Yeah, you can also just make sounds with your mouth. I think the suction noise is either from me or Keelan from the space toilet.
Oh yeah, that was so much fun.
What?
Making the sound effect for like the doors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was just me layering, me just going.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I forgot this detail. That's amazing. You can just sometimes make noises.
I think it wasn't the toilet, but it was specifically the doors. The door sound effects are all just me making random noises with my
Yeah.
mouth and edited in a way to try and make it sound like a sci-fi door
That's
effect.
amazing.
Sometimes you are the free sound effects.
Yeah, sometimes.
Exactly. Foley is great, and if you can do it, do it.
I'm gonna say in the jam chat right now, loads of people have been sharing like resources and stuff, and in PodChat and other channels in the Discord server. Also, if you guys didn't know, attached to the PBC is the Podcast Book Club Creator Studio, which is a place specifically for people who want to create podcasts that is connected to the PBC, and that has so many resources on it. So check that out if you're interested in stuff like that. We also had to create music.
Yes.
Yeah. James, could you talk about the intro? Because you actually made the intro.
Yes, I did. I'm not sure how much I can't remember that much about it. I think it was using the same software that you would go on to use for some of the other music tracks. And I just wanted it to sound like the PlayStation 1 startup sound.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Absolutely beautiful.
yeah, it makes sense.
I want to sound like just like a system boot up.
Yeah, it's slightly ominous.
Yeah, that's slightly ominous, yeah.
I think what we ended up using for the outro though was we wanted to make something, it wasn't working, and then I was like, lol, what if we use something that I made when I was 13 years old? And we did that. We decided to do that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get
Musical prodigy here.
It's not
exactly.
that great.
It is.
I like
It is. Let it be said, it is.
What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to play the end of the pilot so that you can have a little glimpse at that.
Another teaser.
Yeah, you're going to hear it very... Actually, no, you're not going to hear it very briefly. But we're going to play the credits specifically, and also the intro for you guys, so you can see what that was. We don't need to mute on this, because we'll just play the outro, actually. There we go.
Hi there, Courier. You've been listening to Valdivian's Finest, a
It's very space-like. The rest of the crew can't hear it right now.
All of the acting and editing of this
So,
episode took place
audio
over
description.
a 72-hour period.
It's me
and
explaining
this
what the
one of
PodJam is.
several of its kind.
We'd like to thank the PBC
James comes in
for
very
hosting this
serious.
event and allowing us to connect with incredibly talented
This is me
people such as Dan
at
Mack
the end of the
Valdivian
jam.
patented AI,
Leo B. Moss as Paul and the customers.
3 days of sleep deprivation.
Keelan Smith as Miller,
Yeah.
Natalia Mirren as Slack.
Anyway, good stuff. So yeah, I mean, we
Excellent.
owned it. We owned the rights to it, so we used it.
Yeah.
The next time you listen to a Valdivian's Finest production, however, the music is going to be brand new and unreleased. So, fun, fun, fun. And then we had the last day. And in my notes, I have we had a sleepover, but this is not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were so
but-
worried about not having enough time that we finished with like most of the last day free.
Yeah, I think like kind of kind of
I was gonna say, I think that speaks to your planning. Your planning
Yeah.
was very organized. Everyone knew what they were meant to do and when they were meant to do it. So I think that worked very well for our team. It's not as egregious this year because of the fact that it's a month instead of 3 days. But even still, having that, organization and that plan in place would be still very, influential to how well the project goes. So I think it was good that you did that.
I appreciate that. I think the takeaway here is that my planning strategy, which I encourage you all to take, is to plan like you have less time than you do. Because I don't know, imagine if like my laptop crashed, or like Audacity, because we used Audacity, was having problems. It's account for that. And then when you finally finish it and you're like, oh wow, we can relax now. That's such a good feeling. And then you just get to listen to your episode and like, wow, we did the thing. I do actually want to touch on the editing actually a little bit. We didn't actually mention the program we used, which is Audacity.
Oh yes.
It
is free.
Yeah, it's free. It's not going to be the first thing that professionals recommend to you. But it is free. And the number of resources online and YouTube tutorials available, it's pretty overwhelming, to be honest. Yeah, I think, for example, the AI voice. James, in particular, you found some YouTube tutorials that were so helpful.
Yeah. I mean, like the effects on Dan's voice is actually pretty simple. I think it's kind of just like 2 layers. You make one slightly delayed, and to put like emphasis on certain words, I'd make it compressed or like slightly distorted.
And it also meant it was like, for example, Keelan helped us out with a little bit of the editing there, and it was easy for us to just like slide that in because we were all using the same software. I think Audacity, it's very clunky, so it can be a little bit difficult to figure out. What
It
you're
definitely
doing.
gives you the range that you need it to have, though.
Yeah.
Like, if there's something you want to do, there is a way to do it in Unity, probably, and you just need to do a bit of research on how to do it. But like having everyone there to have a bit of a listening to see how it sounds works really well, and just that collaborative process of getting it to the best it can be.
Yeah, and Nat, I noticed that you also noted some alternative options in the event that people don't want to use Audacity for very valid reasons. Could you chat about that?
I mean, there's a lot more information on, like, somebody recently pinned a Word doc, like a Google Doc on the BBC Discord with like all the resources, and it's like a never-ending list from somebody who actually does like sound design. But I have used like Reaper before, and that went a long way for me in terms of like any kind of audio stuff. It's basically like Audition, but a bit less. But it's not as overwhelming. You can do a lot more. You can kind of figure it out. It's more intuitive, in my opinion. It does like to ask for money. Like, you'll open it up and it'll be like, how about you buy it? But if you just wait like 5 seconds, you can click not today, and then you can use it.
You know what? Maybe we'll try that out this year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think the point is, like, you can, like, Audacity being a free program, it's perfectly fine to use Audacity. When it comes to the final project, people, depending on how you do it, people might not even notice you've used Audacity to make it.
Definitely.
And even then, you can get to like a point where it's still very highly produced, or it's at a high quality.
Yeah.
You don't need to rely on like, oh, I need to buy this $200 or £200 product in order to make this. I need to get this specific software in order to make it sound good. That's not necessary, This is beginner friendly. You can use what's available to you.
It's like not the tools you use and all that.
That's how you use them. Yeah.
Yeah, which is exactly the argument I make when I talk about how I insist on using Fire Alpaca.
Those of you who saw it, though, that introduction bit where the shippers are loading screen, James made that like, was it 2 days ago on Fire Alpaca, frame by frame.
Yep.
When you told me that, I was crying.
This like Valdivian like bouncing like logo screen in the background, that was made like yesterday.
The bouncing Valdivian logo is not made in Fire Alpaca. However, I did spare myself. I did spare myself from that.
That's another thing. None of us are graphic designers, and we didn't ask for an artist, so we kind of just made everything ourselves, if you can't tell. But I actually think James's stuff is really, really good.
It's actually
really
been
good.
phenomenal, especially for the aesthetic that we're going for.
100%. And one thing I want to note, actually, I had something on my mind that I've not actually got on the notes here, because we were talking about editing software. And there was something I wanted to know, but I can't remember what it was. I guess we'll never know. On the final
We'll just
day,
save it for the next retrospective.
the 2026, we're coming back.
Yep.
Yeah, and then on the final day, we finished early. Was that the day that we got ice cream by any chance? Or was that a different day?
Yes. Yeah, because I remember it was a really nice day, to be fair. That third day was like really, really nice.
It was so beautiful, and James and I were together in person. Not necessary, of course. Went outside, walked around, enjoyed the sunshine, came back, did a little bit of editing, went outside. enjoyed the sunshine again, touched grass, finished
You're
it.
able to enjoy the brief summer of England.
Yeah, and it was there
Yes.
for that one day. It knew.
It knew, yeah.
And yeah, and then we went, and then we called up Keelan, and we were like, we're done. Have dinner at this what was it? At this Turkish place with us, please.
Turkish restaurant, yeah.
That was really
So
good
nice.
as
I know, we really need to go again. That was really
well. Yeah,
nice
we
food.
do. And again, you don't need to be in person for anything. So if you can't do something in person, that's not an issue. Just like, it's nice to have a bit of a time of celebration. in
Yeah,
the
I
group.
believe we still have like a kind of celebratory kind of like message and kind of announcement to the rest of the cast who obviously weren't able to join us in person.
On account of being in Korea, Canada, and the USA.
Yeah.
It's just nice having that wind down of, all right, we succeeded, we did it. Let's try and decompress.
That feeling.
So you don't have to go to a Turkish restaurant. You can just have like a Discord mukbang.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually,
Sorted.
that sounds so
That
good.
just sounds like an incredible idea.
That
Let's
does
do
sound
that
really
this
good.
year. That's what we should do
Yeah.
this year.
What have I created? Instant regret.
But yeah, and I think it was just when you have it finished in front of you, that feeling of, oh my god, it's done, and then you watch
Yeah,
it.
like the export when it's finally exported and you listen to it through.
It's wow, it's something else.
Especially just being able to show it to people, being like, this is the thing that I made. Look at this.
You can be like,
That's my
oh,
baby.
I've shown it to a few people and just been like, listen to this. I was in this. I was part of making it.
Yeah.
I showed it to my parents. They didn't understand it, to be fair. Granted, they don't understand the language that well either.
I showed it to my family. They didn't really get it either, but they indulged me.
I was gonna say I talked about it to like a random stranger whilst I was walking my dog, and then I ran into him again, and he went, "Oh, I listened to it by the way. It's really good." I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Oh my god,
That's
so
incredible.
cute.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's because I have this wonderful condition where I love to talk to random people.
It's true. I witness this all the time.
Yes.
It can result in good things and bad things. We almost got indoctrinated into a cult, but that's a story for another time.
Hey, listen, I'm just building our fan base organically, but
Yeah. Word of mouth.
yeah.
But a thing to note about Valdivian, those of you who were there for the first jam, and if you've like kept up with anything, you might notice that there have been no other episodes of Valdivian. But we're acting like there is. We had to go on hiatus for very uncontrollable reasons. However, we're back for the 2025 jam with a prequel series that is guaranteed to lift off. I've already scripted several episodes. We've got voice actors returning from previous jam, which I am so happy about. Thank you so much, guys. Coming back. So that just makes my life easier if I don't have to recast these beautiful characters and your beautiful voices, because you guys suit them. So that's going to be happening. We are back. Now, the thing is, originally I was going to announce this in a little video we were going to do for the Jam Retrospective before we decided to stream this. Thank you to the PBC for giving us the platform to do this, by the way. And so I posted the Help Wanted, was it like last week? I don't know.
It was
Lovely.
somewhat recent. Yeah, it was. I think it's the most recent thing on the Help Wanted.
It's not
section of it,
anymore.
Is it not?
Not as of
Let me
today.
check.
And
Last I saw it was. So that means I just have to look at it again.
But pretty much within 2 days, all of our slots were filled, I think. The only thing we're missing is a composer. So if anyone is out there who happens to like making music and specifically wants to make science fiction music, hit me up, please. We would love to have you.
With a side of horror.
Yeah. We're going horror this time. Bit of a tone shift.
And I'm so happy.
Yeah, we'll
It's not
try our
Western.
best to put it on as many platforms as we can. We're on a budget
Yeah,
of
definitely.
negatives, so if it's a paid platform, we're not going to put it on there for now, unfortunately. Maybe in the future if we get funding. But for now, if there's anything
we
free...
can definitely try and make it more like available, because I didn't know about that thing with Spotify, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, and we have some stuff on Podchaser, but not everything, so that's something we need to get onto. Because I think most people can access Podchaser. But yeah, as for sort of a conclusion here, I just really want to get across to you, if anything, that jamming is fun and it's beginner friendly. Everybody here was a beginner.
Exactly.
And we came out with something, and we worked together. I want to shout out to the collaborative atmosphere. That's what I wanted to talk about. During the 3-day process, people were helping each other out. For example, I remember Lemon from Auditorium actually sent DMs to some people, including me, and was like, hey, I this is my job, I do sound design, and if you want any advice, like, you can message me. And I thought that was absolutely really, really nice to receive. I ended up being overwhelmed during the jam process, so I didn't. But that was like one part of the collaboration. I remember Working Title, I think, were looking for wheelchair sound effects, and then I think Lemon helped with that as well. And I remember, I think it was Garden of Baffling Beast posted a clip and looking for some like opinions on it. And there was just loads of collaboration happening in between the teams. So long as you're not sharing voice actors, you're not editing for each other, and you're not writing for each other, there can be inter-team collaborations, and I think that's one of my favorite parts of it.
Yeah, like indirect stuff, just like tips and tricks of how to use whatever software you're using, or anything like that, or like, oh, this effect is a good way to achieve what you're trying to achieve with the sound here, that kind of thing. That's fine between teams.
Yeah.
As long as you're just not directly, contributing to another team's project.
Yeah, it's I really encourage that, like, communication. I think, and also when it comes to Valdivian, we just posted funny sounds we made.
Yeah.
we just wanted to share our screams and our toilet sounds and all that very, very mature highbrow stuff with the rest of the teams. But yeah, but mostly just have fun. Like, you are not here to make a masterpiece. It's a pilot. Pilots are never perfect, and you're under time constraints, and you're dealing with all kinds of different levels of experience. But I guarantee if you work with some other people, you will produce something to be proud of. Is there anything you guys would like to say before we finish up today?
Personally, I think just like, if you're even somewhat considering joining in the next jam, just do it, because honestly, participating in the last one was so much fun, and being able to create something that I can now point to and say, I made that, is incredible, and I'm so much looking forward to taking part in the next jam.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of because I was unsure if I was even going to participate in this jam personally, but I think just kind of like the spirit of it, we kind of had the brainstorming stuff kind of kicked off again, and it is just really fun. I think that's kind of what's drawn me back in, is the spirit of it, and that kind of like creative energy is just really, really intoxicating, I suppose. And I feel like you'd kind of be doing yourself a disservice if you kind of decide not to do it because you're like worried about not making something that is like good enough.
It's an excellent way to get yourself working on your first project. Like, you could work on, like, you may be of any level of, expertise or previous experience, but like, it's just a good excuse to start working on something new, whether you're experienced or doing it for the first time.
To add to James's point about being worried about, not having the best setup or something, I wanted to quickly say how I was in a hotel room, a tiny hotel room in the middle of Tokyo under a very busy subway station that had trains running every 5 minutes, and I was literally under a duvet while recording my lines. It's doable. It is doable. And we did it. So just do it, like, it's fine.
And honestly, you wouldn't even notice. Yeah, your like quality is perfectly fine.
I didn't
Thank you, I
even
tried
know
my
that
best.
until fairly recently.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You were
The specific situation.
you had to time your
slight
recording.
situation.
You were like, I know that the train comes roughly every 5 minutes, so I need to make sure I record within these gaps between the train coming overhead.
To be fair, it was my fault, kinda, for not exactly checking where the hotel was placed. It said Akihabara, and I was like, okay, cool. I mean, the worst I'm gonna get is some weeaboos, or like some, anime cafe and stuff like that. But then, no. In fact, I was under a train station, and the one that was like an interchange. Yeah.
It'd be like that.
It'd be like that.
Yeah, and oh, my voice cracked then. I've been speaking for too long. And James, anything you want to add to that? Anything that people should take away?
I have some closing words. If we're ready to.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Before we close, does anyone have anything that I've skipped over by accident, or anything they want to share?
No, I think I've summed it up. And just if you're even somewhat interested, go for it. You won't regret it.
Yeah, that's the general sentiment here. We welcome you with open arms. You're gonna have fun. It's gonna be fun.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, James. You said you've got some closing words for us.
Yeah. Just want to say, I wish you all well in the jam, and peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
We're going to leave you now with the pilot episode that we produced during the jam. So yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Good
Farewell.
No pleasure.
Valdivian's finest.
So, that's about everything. Any questions?
Yeah. Where are my quarters? I've still got a lot of stuff I gotta unpack.
Right. That would be here.
What? No, seriously.
This is your quarters, and my quarters. And Miller's quarters, and the Camilo area. Good use of 6 square feet. Real cozy.
You'll get used to it. Eventually.
I was thinking that.
Give me a moment. Something urgent has come up.
Our renovated planetary depots have been crucial in helping us meet our increasing customer demand.
No. Oh, I haven't got to the good bit yet.
So, I believe you're in need of storage space.
Log 8876. Item. Large pizza, half beef, half plain. Courier.
Anna Maria, Jezebel, Quinzel, Zalganathia.
Courier notes.
First day on the job, here goes. My name is Anna Maria, and I'm studying quantum plasmabology sciology with a minor in astronumerology at the Federal Coalition University of the New Age, 33rd frontier of postmodern sciences, with a minor in philosophies of the second quadrant of galaxy 15.27 of the Alpha Star System, second late millennium, which is to say this is a temporary gig before.
Keep dreaming, kid.
Whatever, old man. And I...
You've got 30 seconds before it stops recording. You don't need to give it your full name either. It's perfunctory. They've got all our gene IDs anyway. Sometimes it comes with a customer message too, which eats up time like a python in a rumpworm enclosure.
Oh, thanks. I guess.
Log 8883 item. Interstellar transmitter and back containing industrial glue. Courier.
It's
Courier notes.
I went to the coordinates specified in the encrypted message. One of my friends, Slack, decrypted it for me.
Not your friend.
Isn't she humorous? As I was saying, when the customer arrived, I asked if they required my assistance, but they appeared to have brought some friends. They were pretty shy, except one who was really friendly. He took it upon himself to test the integrity of my exoskeleton. How thoughtful! Sadly, however, before a full examination could be carried out, his friends dragged him away. The others took the package and I waved goodbye. I didn't recognize the gesture they used in response.
Doesn't happen to look like this, does it?
That's the one! What does it mean?
Peace and love.
That's great! I'll make sure to show Miller next time I see him. Hello, Miller! Check this out. It means peace and love.
Slack.
What? Must have virus or something.
Log 8891 item. Portable cryogenic freezer. Courier.
Miller.
Courier notes.
Delivered successfully. Slack. Did you figure out the budget yet?
Of course. After accounting for food, water, new oxygen filters, and general maintenance...
The list goes on.
The list goes on. After all that, we have 716.89 excess Vonga. I say we get an X-Patch Disk Communicator 11. It's good, very useful, multifunctional, nice.
Also obsolete. I was still on training jets when that model came out. I say we get a toilet seat cover. Tired of jumping 3 feet every time my cheeks make contact with sub-zero ODS alloy.
But the X-Patch Disk Communicator 11 has 3 modes of...
Fluffy toilet seat cover. Warm arse.
Whatever.
It's awful. I do not know how to fix this stuff.
That's true. And maybe it's not so bad that I don't have a gastrointestinal tract.
Log 8897 item. Millennium 6-pence replica collection. Courier.
It's Slack.
Courier notes.
Your log's running.
Mission success.
Log 8907 item. Ribbed 8-inch primordial resin tentacle with organic liquid sachet. Customer note. This customer has included special instructions. Customer name. Withheld. Special instructions.
Deliver covertly. Do not let anyone see you. Utmost secrecy required, and the subtlety of a ninja. If you don't know what a ninja is, pass this on to another courier, as you aren't worthy of this delicate task. Deliver in box much larger than item, cube-shaped. Walk silently.
My risk
Deliver under cover of night. Leave underneath loose floorboard on porch.
Fine.
Do not step on the porch. It squeaks.
Courier.
Anna Maria Jezebel Quinzel Nathier.
Timer.
Ugh.
Log 8915 item. Robert and me robotic companion for ages 7+. Courier.
It's
Courier notes.
I delivered the package. However, I fear I might have made a grave error. Hello, Anna Maria.
Hi, Sam. Everything okay?
Oh, okay. Yes, of course. Haha.
Oh, didn't realize you were doing a log. You might want to finish that.
Of course. Delivery successful.
Yes, yes. Of course.
Umbrella hat. Courier.
It's Slack.
Oh. Mission success. What is that?
Oh, this life form is not in my databanks.
I couldn't just leave it. My package was making noises. I didn't know what it was. You know, they never tell us what it is until the log, and I didn't know. I had to check it because it was making noises, and it was like, and it was, you know, I had to check it because it wasn't
Slow
specific
down,
inside. It
Kim.
was like,
You're not in trouble. It's all right. You're okay. Tell us what happened.
Turns out I was delivering cryogenically frozen kittens, and one of them thawed. It would have died of starvation if I didn't take it.
What's a kitten?
It's like a baby cat, whatever. Her name is Acorn, and we're keeping her.
What's an acorn?
Well, maybe I can be the dad that sticks around this time.
I want to hold the Felis Catus.
This can't end well. Hey Sam, I need your help with picking up this heavy beer.
Okay. What is my next directive?
Put it back down.
Okay.
Sam!
Oh no.
Access denied.
Slack.
Accident.
What is it?
I don't know. Never received one of these before.
Exciting.
Dear treasured employees, deliveries 8856, 8855, and 8854 were ordered as part of our Customer and Company Service Quality Program. Report delivered by Paul. Report? Well, there's only one real way to say this, but I am barred from swearing on these due to internal abuse policies or whatever. As if anyone cares about that shit.
That's another violation.
Oh, whoops. Anyway, Courier, it's Slack, is running a script to repeat their name field in the logs. Violation of internal modifications. We also received a customer compensation request that actually went through, and these things never go through, so kinda impressive. Courier, Sam, managed to knock down a fucking door.
Delivery.
Ah, Jesus Christ!
Oh my god, Sam! You should sit back for a while and observe me on a couple of my deliveries.
Oh,
Hi.
and Courier Anna Maria, you have still not disposed of the excess from delivery 8922. Policy 23HB dictates all damaged product must be disposed of using the onboard incinerators.
I'm not doing that!
We're sanctioning a budget cut of 665 wonga. Further deductions will be made for each cycle that the Felis Catus Epicenian remains intact at a rate of 101 wonga per cycle. So yeah, leave any feedback or queries after the beep. What do we deliver?
The future.
The future.
We need to make some serious cuts if we really want that toilet seat cover.
We do.
Right. And that cut us?
We are not incinerating Acorn.
When did I say we are incinerating Acorn?
You implied it. I know your next words. I have high empathy.
Don't you dare put words in my mouth.
Alright, okay, calm down.
She started it.
Did not.
Maybe I started
I
it?
don't care. Slack, can you trick the system into thinking we've incinerated the cat?
I was already going to do that. I'll edit the status field on the log. Easy.
I'm not apologizing.
Did I ask?
Sorry.
I didn't ask.
Log 8959. Item. Molecular heat sink. Courier.
It's Sam. Again.
Courier notes.
Package was successfully delivered to a residence.
Slack, how's it looking?
Bad. We're
Log
down.
8963.
Hang on.
Item. Rubber chicken nuggets, 15 pieces. Courier.
Slack.
Courier notes.
We're in negatives.
Right. What can go?
I suggest we reduce our food intake.
Vetoed. On account of speaker making a cut that does not apply to themselves.
Seconded.
Motion accepted.
Okay. Scanning ship inventory. Oh! Acorn! She's worth 2,300 wonga.
What?
To the power of 10.
We are not selling acorn.
That's... I don't think I've ever had a tenth of that. No.
We could
20th.
make sure she finds a good home. If they have that kind of money, she's gonna have it cushy.
I cannot believe. How dare you?
No.
Slack, that's a lot of money.
No. We are not giving up a life for a petty luxury.
It's not like that.
It is. It is like that. You assume because they have money, their little furry toy will also benefit from the fruits of their delegated labor. Well, you certainly don't know the magnetism of money and the sway of their moral compasses. Signing off on Acorn? Well, let's just say we'll never suffer the torment of knowing her fate.
You're catastrophizing. That's...
Nope. You are being outvoted. Sam, vote for Acorn to stay.
I vote for Acorn to stay.
Fine.
We could pawn one of the spacesuits. We're screwed in an emergency anyway. Backup gen's been out of commission for 3 years now. Maintenance sticker says.
Yeah, whatever Slack said.
Let me talk to a human, you stupid robot.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Please make sure you speak clearly and try again.
Let me talk to a sentient being, you piece of antiquated shit.
Message understood. This call will now be terminated and your complaint is null. Here at the Valdivian Courier Service, we do not tolerate the abuse of our staff. Have a good day.
Listen here, you...
Is that it?
I believe so.
A shade of pink. It's so violent.
Well, what are we waiting for? I want to know what the fabled seat cover feels like.
Everyone out. Time for a test drive.
But...
Nope.
So, what do you think it feels like?
Heaven. Or it better do for that price.
I have no sensation receptors on my posterior.
And presumably, no use of the toilet. I hope.
Shh, shh. He's coming out. How was it?
All right.
Oh.
Well, I can't say I'm surprised. I've got a log to... yeah. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
That is not what that means.
Hi there, Courier. You've been listening to Valdivian's Finest, a pilot produced for the PBC PodJam event. All of the acting and editing of this episode took place over a 72-hour period, and it is one of several of its kind.
We'd like to thank the PBC for hosting this event and allowing us to connect with incredibly talented people such as Dan Mack as the Valdivian patented AI,
Leo B. Moss as Paul and the customers,
Keelan Smith as Miller,
Natalia Mirren as Slack,
James Garner as Sam,
Envy May as Anna Maria,
and introducing W. May as Akon.
This episode was written and edited by Envy May and James Garner. If you'd like to see a full season of Valdivian's Finest, please head over to our Tumblr at Valdivian's Finest and check out the Podcast Book Club Discord server, as well as all the other PodJam pilots at PodJam on Tumblr.
This production would not have been possible without them.
Until then,
what do we deliver?